alive. High road roaring every night. Spotlight on Spurs, feel the fight. Spotlight on Spurs, hearts ablaze through the cheers and cloudy days. From the lane to glory's flight. Spotlight on Spurs, shine so bright. Echoes rise when we take the field. This is passion, nothing concealed. Through the tackles, joy ignites. Spotlight on Spurs, burning lights. Feel the tempo, sweet and wild. London's warriors never mild. Every challenge we endure. Spotlight on Spurs, loud and pure.
I'm not sure how we start this episode. Normally there's a lot of huffing, a lot of puffing, a lot of misery, a lot of sad faces, but actually you can tell that there's been a bit of a sense, there's a bit of a shift in happiness at this football club by the amount of smiley faces that we've got on the panel tonight. So that's a positive thing. It's unbelievable that Spurs have such a decent performance in a game in which essentially means nothing and we go out of a European competition. But hey, Spurs never do things the standard normal way, right? So yeah, bit of a difference to usual episodes where we're sitting here saying about all the issues and the problems. I'm sure this one we will talk about some issues and some problems, but we'll also be talking about how we think we've sort of turned a corner here, because we have got a debut here with Stu joining us. So really appreciate that, my man. Thank you very much. And Jay returning. And today we will be going into what is planned for Sunday. There is, I'm sure you've seen it, because even the Spurs players have been seeing it and they've been sharing it. And the guys below me are a huge part of the reason why this is all going ahead. So we will go into it in a little bit more detail. But just to start things off, let's do the pleasantries. Chris, how do you feel, my man, after what feels like an absolute generation of being able to get a positive result at this football club? How are you doing?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. It was actually a weird feeling watching the Spurs game where we win a game, but still feeling gutted that we won a game, but then also in a weird way feeling quite a sense of, I don't know, proudness maybe to probably the best word. It was just a good performance and something that we've all been crying out for probably for so long. So I enjoyed it. It even got me to a point where I thought we might actually come back and it might Amsterdam 2.0 was sort of on the cards. But it's just nice to watch a Spurs team that's got that fight, that's got that drive, and the players that they've got so much more confidence. And maybe it has just taken Tudor a little bit longer. And I'm glad that hopefully it's proven me wrong, because I was definitely a person that was saying he's not doing it. He needs to go. We need to change it up. So yeah, a lot of pleasantries after watching the Spurs game for once. And as you say, not all doom and gloom.
You ain't got this YouTube thing yet, mate. You don't ever admit you was wrong. You was like, I knew this was happening. This is exactly what I thought it was. We was on here slaughtering him. Jay, welcome back, my man, and obviously thanks again for coming on. What was your sort of thoughts in the game yesterday, and how are you doing?
I think we see what every fan wanted to see. I think nobody's naive enough to think we could have necessarily done it with ease yesterday. Certainly knocking them out, scoring 3 goals, and keeping a clean sheet. Clean sheet and Spurs aren't really something that's gone hand in hand. But then you sit there and you take the performance at face value, and I think it correlates to the Liverpool game. Certainly, we've seen a reaction from these players that we haven't seen in a while. There's the fight, there's the determination, and do you know what? Building up to what's going to be happening at the weekend, I think every fan needed that result last night. It could have been not necessarily deflating, because a lot of people might have written yesterday off, but going into the game against Nottingham Forest off the back of a win against a team that are very good. They didn't rest players, bearing in mind they have the big derby at the weekend. The players just impressed me, and it was good to see, and it was nice to sit there and go, do you know what? I've got a lot of enjoyment out of a Spurs game.
Yeah, Yeah, I completely agree. It felt like we. I don't want to go back down the whole route of we got our Tottenham back, but it certainly felt like it was a start, right? It was a building block. Stu, once again, thanks again for coming on, making your debut on the channel. How were you first of all, and what was your brief thoughts on yesterday, and we'll get a bit more into it.
Yeah, well, to start with, I'm very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. Yeah, regarding the game, I think it's all positives in my opinion. I thought we were quite unlucky. I think 3-2. We really probably should have had another couple of goals, if we're being honest. I think their first goal was a foul on Xavi. Things didn't quite go our way, but I think the performance levels of what we've seen to previous are night and day. All of a sudden these players seem like they've got a new lease of life. They're fighting, they're running through brick walls for each other. It just seems like the whole club at the moment has just had some sort of turnaround in the last 7 days, and it's all just gearing up to Sunday, which was the biggest game of our season. But it was just a joy to watch yesterday. Like, I was a bit worried, to be honest, with yesterday's game, and the fact that we played well at Liverpool, but we sat in, made it difficult for them. And yesterday I was thinking, what are we going to be like trying to take the game after the Atletico? And that was my concern yesterday. I thought, has he got the ability? Has he got the players? Obviously there's a lot of murmurs he fell out with love with Xavi Simons. Came back in the side yesterday and he was absolutely exceptional in that second half yesterday. I think he completely run the game near enough. And I just think it's positive days all round. Walking out the stadium, actually seeing smiling faces was the first couple of last time I actually saw that happen. So yeah, all positives. I think it's all positives moving forward.
Yeah, I definitely carry on that momentum, right? I don't know where it came from at Liverpool, but we see something different. We see some sort of fight. We see some sort of hunger, and the key thing for me was always building that momentum. I always said that at the 2 games that the Sunday game was the bigger game, but you couldn't kill all the momentum in the game yesterday. Chris, obviously, first time we've caught up about the game. I completely agree with the guys. I think we were very, very unlucky not to win the game and actually go through, or at least take it to extra time. When you factor in how many goals we give them last week and how many chances also were missed last week, I think Richarlison's header, where obviously they make a great save and they go straight up the other end and score, is a massive part of it. On the day, if it was a situation where we would extra time, potentially going through to next round, playing other games, focusing away from the Premier League, could you envision that being a positive thing or a negative thing if we was to get through? Because there's plenty of people that were saying, look, let's just worry about the Prem. We shouldn't even be worrying about anything else. What was your thoughts? Was you apprehensive about possibly going through? Was you thinking, I want to go through? What was your sort of perspective on it?
I think when you're playing, as we've been playing the last sort of maybe even 10 games, and we feel like there's nothing there, we feel like there's no fight, there's no desire, the boys are deflated and we can't see where a win's coming. I've certainly looked at the fixtures coming up and sort of gone, I don't know where we're getting 3 points. To then turn up in the second leg, I mean, Liverpool was a turning point, and then to turn up in the second leg and actually and give them a go and actually show that we can do it, you sort of think to yourself, is this the spring that we're going to go on and we're going to keep playing that way? Because we are going to keep playing, we are going to keep challenging, then yes, we should be trying to go through. Obviously, the squad's at limited numbers, and the youngsters that have come on actually, I thought, done a pretty good shift, and proved that they probably should be worthy of trying to get on that pitch. So I wasn't against it. I think if we was, obviously, 5-2 is always a hard feat to come back from. But it's given me more confidence that I think now that we have got, I think it's 8 games left in the Premier League now, if we can sort of emulate that performance and take it in after the last 2 games we've had with that confidence, I definitely feel like it's a shame we have gone out. But at the same time, I feel like maybe going out is probably the best thing for us now. But then when you're sitting there watching it, you don't want to go out because you want to stay in the tournament and you want us to go on, and you think we can go on the way. So, I think hindsight's a great thing when you look at it like that. But for me, I'm quite happy to let us focus on the Premier League now, and hopefully, I think after this game we've got a 3-week break, so there's 4 or 5 players potentially that are coming back after that international break. Hopefully we can just
This
kick
is
on
this
there.
is Spurs. This is Spurs. So there's
No.
probably 5 back, 6 out. But yeah, we'll go with it. Jay, where did you sit on it? Was you obviously when you're watching the game, you kind of want them to go through? Of course you do. You want them to win every game. But is this almost that we carried the momentum, we won the game, but also now we can focus solely on what is absolutely huge? And obviously there was a lot of criticism for the players saying they weren't in on it. They didn't have the heart for it. And I mean, in the last minute, Jed Spence is running to try and get back, to try and make a block in a game, which essentially, if we did draw, other than momentum, it didn't really make a difference. So did we start seeing a shift there as well?
Yeah, I mean, call me selfish, sort of. I wouldn't have wanted to go 3-0, sorry, go to 90 minutes. We got to play extra time with a heavily depleted squad, and you get rival fans sitting there saying, "Oh, injuries, you can't complain about injuries." But at the end of the day, there's nobody that's seen 11 available first team players at one point, and it's been weeks where it's been similar to that. So you think if we had run into extra time and penalties, you're talking these are players that played at the weekend. These players can't really be rotated due to injuries and suspensions. So the selfish part of me is thinking, do you know what we got away with yesterday? No new injuries. We got away with no players that have sort of limped off, and we're dreading the Alistair Gold press conference tomorrow morning where it's, oh yeah, this player's not available. Instead, we had the momentum of, do you know what? We had Bergvall got some minutes into the tank. We had Udogie get some minutes into the tank. And I don't think enough people are singing the Jed Spence's praises, certainly when it comes to that last minute tackle. Like, it doesn't matter about, we knew he was out. He could have easily just gone, do you know what? I'm not catching him. Steady bust the gut to get back. And I think that's showing that, yeah, at the moment, the players are buying into what the fans are doing. And it is absolutely amazing to see. So going out, I agree with Chris. I don't think necessarily it's the worst thing. Obviously, you want to see your team playing on the biggest stages. But the real question is, do we have the squad to compete on both fronts? No, the focus has got to turn to the Prem. Make sure we solidify our place there next season, and then hope for a big summer.
Yeah, completely agree. Stu, where did you sit on it? And was you at the ground yesterday? Did you see that? What was the feeling around that Spence thing? Because sometimes it's just a simple block, a simple deflection, something like that. I noticed every time Tell had a shot and it went out for a corner, he was giving it so much to the crowd. Well, where did you sort of sit on it? Obviously, in the stadium, you're probably more engrossed in it, thinking we want to go through. But for thinking about it now, where do you kind of sit on it?
Well, for the actual going through itself, from a selfish point of view, obviously I wanted to go to Barcelona, so I was more than happy for us to go through. If I'm being honest, look, as far as I'm concerned, I want to stay in it. I didn't want to come out of it. Like, I think deep down that performance last night has given us all hope that we can do enough to stay in the league. And I don't think the Champions League would have been a distraction. I really don't. I think obviously we've got a bit of a period now before the next round would have been anyway.
Yeah,
and obviously, like Chris just said as well, you've got a 3-week period now where there's no games. People potentially coming back, like with Kudus potentially, So for me personally, I would have liked to have gone through. Obviously, it's a massive task, 5-3. But I said before the game, I think we'll win the game. I don't think we'll go through, and it turned out to be that way. And just regarding obviously like the likes of Jed Spence and stuff, like you say, when you're in the stadium now, you can, like last night was different. Like, I think if he'd done that 4 weeks ago, the crowd would have been half-hearted with it. Yesterday, the reaction was incredible. Everyone's on their feet clapping. It was almost like you sat there at the end, like you had to keep pinching yourself, saying, "We're actually going to go out." Like everyone was singing, getting behind the team. They're up, they're jumping around. Every tackle, they're cheering it. Every header, they were cheering it. And you literally sat there, and it was almost like a party atmosphere. And you're thinking, "We're actually going out." It was quite surreal because obviously the atmosphere has been extremely toxic at the ground, and it has been harder and harder to go to games where that toxic park has come through the fans. You've got fans arguing in the stands of each other, home and away fans as well. And it's not been good. But like yesterday, there was a real togetherness at the club, and I just think it's only going to grow over the next week or two, and hopefully just that will be enough for us to stay in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, 100%. Again, it's all momentum building, right? Just keep constantly trying to build that. The big thing for me, and we can kind of go into it now, in terms of the change, right? So as I say, we've been on here, Chris, and we're basically saying every week we're not seeing any differences, we're not seeing any changes. If anything, it's got worse. We got the Liverpool game, and obviously you're kind of sitting there going, yeah, Spurs have had some decent 45 minutes, but are they going to be able to do it more consistently? What's going to happen in the next game, etc. But the confidence that in these players, I mean, as I say, Atletico Madrid, the first few minutes, players wanting to get on the ball, wanting to have the ball, wanting to pass it, wanting to move. And I haven't seen this for a long, long time. And the guys have already mentioned some of the performances, some of the moves that were put together in an attacking sense was brilliant. How have we come from it being so bad to being? I know it's only, let's be clear, it's only a few games, but this is a far cry from what we thought it was going to be. How has he managed to do that? Because it's not like loads of players have come back to change it. It's not like all the big players have come back in and everything else. What's the difference? What's the big difference that you've seen in the team and maybe in him as a way of his conducted press conference, etc., that makes you think, oh, that's where the changes come from? Or do you think that there's just a whole variety of things?
For personally, I don't think it's a manager at all, if I'm being honest. I don't think it's anything to do with the manager whatsoever. I actually just think this is a players thing. I think the players have had like a little sit together. I think the players have probably thrashed this out a little bit, and they've almost kind of said, look, we're going to play for ourselves type thing. Honestly, I do not believe this is a part of Tudor whatsoever. And I will say that there's a lot of rumours going around, murmurings, that they actually said that last week as well. They actually apparently a lot of the players come out and said they're going to play for the fans and that type of thing. You know, with Tudor, like I said, I was with the man at the top there. I was the same. Obviously, I always said it was a wrong appointment. You know, obviously, at the moment, I'm kind of on the fence a little bit now. Obviously, for me, my decision will be made after Forest, depending on how that result goes. I think if we obviously win that game, then, like I said, you might as well keep him to the end of the season. Obviously, if that goes the other way on Sunday, then Monday morning he should be gone already. So I just think the players have obviously something's clicked in their head. I don't know why. Like you can't have the sort of performances they've had over the last couple of months where there's been no effort, no commitment, no desire. And then all of a sudden, like last night, they're running through brick walls, like you said. Jed Spence's, sprinting up the field to make a block in the last minute. It's complete night and day between, the two teams, like from now to back then. So it's obviously something has kind of just changed, but it's not even amazing. These guys haven't got time on the training pitch to tactics and formations. They're not having that time. Like this is probably the first period after the Forest games, the first bit of time they're actually going to have time to actually work on the training pitch. I think Tudor come in and the first thing he said to him was like, "You're unfit." The squad's very, very, very unfit, and apparently they have been getting absolutely run ragged fitness levels, which is unheard of towards the end of the season. But then you look at our running stats last night; they were absolutely, again, the improvement is absolutely incredible from what they were a few weeks ago. And like Thomas Frank, he's actually been questioned for what he was doing with the players because they just weren't fit enough, and that's just it's actually crazy to think that, but.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things that when Frank come in, right, Jay, that you thought we know what we're going to get in terms of it's going to be they're going to work hard, they're going to be fit, they're going to chase, and it looks like that actually we didn't get that, and these players are, whether it was them down in tools, whether it was the tactics, whether it was the way he trained, there's that'll all come out in the wash, right? But what has been the biggest difference for you, Jay, in terms of where we were only a couple of weeks ago? I came on here and I said, I think we're gone. I can't see a world in which, unless another team goes and loses 10 on the trot, I can't see a world in which we pick up enough points. And now I'm looking at it going, we should be absolutely not comfortable, but we should be okay. What's the biggest change for you, do you think has happened?
I think the biggest change, obviously, me, like many fans, were hoodwinked last pre-season when Tottenham beat Arsenal in that the cup that we played in Korea. And you sit there and you watch how we played. It looked very tactical. We were playing to our strengths. There was so much in there. And I think as the season progressed, the more you see it progressing, there was a disconnect between the manager and the fan base. This is before anything happened. There was comments that he made. I mean, he took quite heavy digs at the fans, which then, of course, the fans are going to react to on a match day, which then the players feel the brunt from the fans, because at that time, the man who's getting the abuse is in the dugout. You can't really direct it towards him until full time. And I think the biggest change that's happened is these players are scared of Tudor, which means they respect him. I think the question that has to be in this Spurs squad, and it's not me being negative, is did they respect Thomas Frank as much as somebody who is going to demand the next level? Thomas Frank come in and instantly said, we're going to lose games. Tudor has said, I'm coming in and I don't understand why a manager would say that they're going to lose games. We set every game up to win. And do you know what? Every game since, we had the first three and I sort of went, yeah, Tudor's going to be gone. They're going to try and bring in Harry Redknapp or somebody like that. And then all of a sudden, I think it was the Crystal Palace game, it was actually mentioned on TV, they were doing warm-ups and they were doing specific drills that you're doing training. And they touched on the fact that Tudor had them running extra training sessions and still said he wasn't happy with where they were. So they were doing them pre-game. Liverpool, that Liverpool game, you see the running, the passing patterns, the way we played, we were tactical about it. And then yesterday, you see the running, and it's like they respect what he is telling them to do. Whereas you don't have the respect for your players. You've got very big egos in there. And I mentioned it on another show the other night. I don't believe we have many leaders. We have a lot of people who like to believe they're leaders. And since Tudor's sort of got his claws in, every player is trying to be a leader on that pitch. You had Mateus Tell last night demanding the ball. You had Xavi Simons picking up the ball and running through players. You had players like Romero putting his body on the line. I hate to say it, Vicario probably made one of the best saves I've seen him make in a Spurs kit last night from the deflection from Romero. There seems to be a level change in what we're seeing from these players. So for me, I think it's more a manager who's gone in, demanded better and said, you are Tottenham Hotspur. You are not a team that should be competing here. And I know it's still early and he's had a couple of games where we've not had the results we wanted. But if you look at them games, we've had results that have affected us in serious ways. We had 10 men against Crystal Palace. We had a Fulham goal given against us, which we had ruled out the week before. And it's not a pity thing, but it feels like we get into grips with what we have available and he's learning to use these tools to the best of sort of his ability.
Yeah, Chris, we literally every week we've been coming on going, we feel like it's going to be, we've done it with Thomas Frank, we were going, it's probably going to be his last game. We've done that for weeks and weeks and weeks. We carried on, got to Tudor. I'm sitting there thinking, we're going to go through exactly the same thing here. I can't see where we just instantly turn it around. And the Liverpool performance shocked me, but the Atletico Madrid to follow that up was very, very good. And now obviously Sunday becomes absolutely pivotal. What do you think's changed? But also, is there, like, I look at certain players now where I think actually over the last 3-4 weeks, it's evident how much you've grown. Like whether that be confidence, whether it be the way they want the ball, they demand it. A lot of times this season, I've looked at the game and thought nobody wants the ball. They definitely don't want it in difficult areas. It's almost like give me the ball and I'll quickly give it away to someone else as quickly as possible. Whereas over the last couple of games, that's not looked like that. They've looked like they've wanted the ball constantly, and I think fans do play a big factor in that. But is there anyone for you that, or is it a tactical switch? Is there a player? Is there a group of players? Is it Romero coming back? Is it what is it for you that's made the big difference? Or is there, as I say, for me, I think there's a few youngsters that have stepped up as well, which I think is great. But I think there's a number of reasons as to why there's been that shift. What for you, Chris?
I think fitness is a big thing, and obviously you can't just become a fit football player overnight either. It does take a couple of weeks to get to a level where a professional player should be at. So I definitely feel like since Tudor's come in, he's obviously changed the coaching regime there. And I know it's been, I just said before, when Frank was announced as manager, we sat here and said, the players are going to get coached. We're going to see progression, and that never happened. So yeah, a lot of question marks over that. But I believe Tudor was maybe sort of an experiment to see what he could do, what the players could do, and what level, trying to base the formation and the tactics around the level that was at then. Since since we've seen the changes when we've gone to a back four, and it seems like having the back four is good. I question when he started playing Sousa at right mid and put Spence, I think it was, at left back. I was like, well, hang on a minute, it's a left. But I feel like he's done that because the first game that Sousa played left back, I think he got booked in the first 5 minutes because he just flew into a tackle. And then I think he's obviously trying to minimise risk to the players as well and the exposure. Obviously, after the Kinski incident, 16 minutes, he got pulled off. We were 3-0 down. I think he's trying to work with the players that he's got. And while we're building the confidence up, I think that's where we've seen the tactical change come in. And we've gone to the back four, dropping Xavi Simons for a few games and then playing him, starting him against Atletico Madrid last night. And then just seeing, again, I know when he first joined, Thomas Frank done that where we signed him. We thought we was going to see him every game. He was going to be one of the first names on the sheet. He had a period where he had 3 or 4 games where he only come on for 20, 30 minutes. And then when he started playing again, it was like he was ready to go. So again, is there something there with that? I think all the players have definitely stepped up. They all seem like, again, over the last couple of weeks, there's definitely that mentality has definitely changed. And I know Mickey van der Ven in these pre-match interviews said about there's obviously been some rumours about players in the clubs don't want to play no more and they're just trying to get through the season because they know they're not going to be there next year. And I think he was actually one of the players and he said it's absolute rubbish. I don't know why these are being. So they're obviously listening to the outside noise and you'd like to think that they'd be sitting there saying, we're better than this. Let's go and prove all these people wrong. And I think every Spurs fan that has slated the club, the team, the managers, the coaching staff, whatever it is, we all want to be proved wrong because that means that Tottenham are actually performing and they're doing better. So that's where we want them to be. I think if we beat Nottingham Forest, and I can't see why we can't, if again we emulate and we take in the momentum that we've got with the confidence for the last couple of games, I can see us getting a result against Forest. And I think if we do get a result against Forest, it's all it's done that Tudor will probably stay to the end of the season because that's where your positive changes. Because up until then, up until a Liverpool game, him coming in, we couldn't see any improvement. There wasn't like he's come in and he's done a load of changes and we all talk about the new manager bounce and all that stuff. That never happened. So if it is just a case of the fitness wasn't good enough and the actual training quality wasn't good enough, we wasn't focusing on our strengths. We were obviously probably preparing more for how to deal with the teams we will come up against every week. That's not good enough. If he's changed that mentality of this is what we're going to do to win the game, not this is how we're going to set up to try and stop the other team from winning the game. Again, that mentality then gives the players that confidence to go, we should be winning every game. And as I say, I feel like if we didn't have a 5-2 deficit in the first leg against Atletico Madrid, I feel like that game would have gone to extra time and we may have got something out of that game.
Yeah, and talking about the mentality, right? You've got, obviously, you mentioned Van der Ven's interview coming out and obviously being very strong on that. But Tudor's actually been he got reprimanded by the FA today for coming out with certain comments, but he's probably done it 3 or 4 times. And do you think that is part of this fighting for each other? As you mentioned earlier, forget about the club. It's more we'll fight for the fans, but we're actually, I feel like Spurs is a really easy target in the media. And everyone just kind of getting together going, no one else is going to back us. So let's just all get together, back ourselves. And even if it's for 8 games, we'll just do it from there. Do you think that's also helped in terms of you can see that fighting attitude in the press conferences and how they're delivering that on a pitch together?
Yeah. Obviously, when you watch him, he's a leader, isn't he? You know, you see the way he talks and the way his presence is and the way his demeanour is. And all he's simply trying to do is just deflect all the attention away from the players and put it all on his shoulders, which is really good. You know, like I love the way they dealt with the Mickey van der Ven situation. I think putting him on that press conference with Tudor was an absolute genius move. I think if they didn't do that, there was a lot of question marks over, did Mickey say this? Did he say that? Did he do this? And that just kind of negated it away from all the questions. Because I think, truthfully, if he actually started that game, there would have been a few fans that would have given him a bit of stick in that stadium. So for Spurs to actually put him in that situation and kind of just say, look, let's clear the air. You know, if you said it or not, it's irrelevant in my eyes now. It's more of a case now of just wear that shirt with pride for the next 8 games and just help us and just do everything you possibly can to stay up. But Tudor himself, like, I don't know, I'm finding it quite hard to warm to him. Like, you know, I love the way that he's kind of he's backing the players and all that type of thing. But like I said, we're used to like people like Harry Redknapp, who are very, they're very good with their words and they potch and stuff like that. You know, I do feel for him as well though, because I feel like the press go after him. Like if you watch his the press of the other day, Liverpool after the game, I thought they went after him. I thought it was really quite harsh on him. And you know, for someone whose English is good, but it's not like perfect, he obviously took some of the questions quite funny, and he actually got slated for it. But I do love the way that he, like I said, for me personally, I think that's a manager's job. A manager's job is to be there for your players, no matter what. Even if you don't agree with what they're doing, sometimes you're the one that takes it on the shoulders, and he is doing that, and that's maybe where the turns happen, where he's starting to get that respect for the players now. Maybe the players are looking at him now thinking, oh, we've actually got someone now who's actually going to fight for us. You know, he's not going to chuck us under the bus like Thomas Frank did. You know, Thomas Frank was the first one at every interview, every twist and turn. He would chuck you under the bus completely. It wouldn't bother him. You know, he would chuck the fans under the bus. He was chucking everyone. You know, Tudor's almost done the opposite. You know, he's just said, look, give it to, I'll take it all. I'll take it all. Just keep it away from everyone else. And it's just settled everyone down. I think it's a great move. Yeah, and we'll just see. Like I say, Sunday. Sunday for me is all about, like I said, I think, like Chris said up the top, I said, if he stays or goes, it all depends on Sunday. It all depends on Sunday. Like if we lose that, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult. But then again, who do you bring in then? You know, 7 games to go. It's a very, very delicate situation that we're in. But I have full belief on Sunday though that we'll get the victory we need.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really unique situation, right, Jay? Because when you look at it, this man is a very short-term manager. I think I read somewhere that he's averaged 10 years, like 30 games at a club. So it doesn't even last the season at all. We know that he's coming in for a very particular set of circumstances. He goes against a lot of what Spurs fans kind of want, really. We was expecting him to basically be playing as many experienced pros as he possibly can, because he's here for a 12-game period or whatever it is. He's bringing on Olasesi on a couple of occasions, so that's bringing the fans, again, bringing it all together. That's bringing fans on side immediately. As soon as they see a youth player come on, they immediately come to it. But he's almost looking at like bringing on young players, building for the future, but actually he's not going to be here for the future. And Spurs wouldn't really want him for the future. I know most managers don't spend a hell of a lot of time at a club, but this feels everything's short term. Everything's only in this situation. We wouldn't want this again, like for him to be the manager next year, say. But do you think that attitude and that shift from being able to, he just seems like he will just defend him. Everyone that's around him will just be defended if he's got a question about it. And actually, as you mentioned, we haven't really had that big giant figure that is here to kind of take all of the brunt. Do you think that that's a big part of what we're seeing, and that's why some of the fans and players seem to be on side?
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, from his perspective, it's very easy when you know you're a short-term manager, you've only got a contract to the end of the season. You know that regardless of, it sounds really bad, regardless of the situation the club's in, you won't be there in the summer. But whilst you are there, you want to make sure that you are doing what these players probably lacked. And me and Stu spoke on it a few weeks ago. We said that maybe the players needed an arm around them, like Harry Redknapp. Part of me thinks he has come in and he has done that. But he said to him, I'll put my arm around you, I'll defend you in the media, but I demand you give your all to what I'm asking you to. And yeah, that's sort of, it's the good thing about him. And obviously I agree with the other boys. If we lose this weekend, I mean, that's panic stations, I think, for fans. It's a 6-point game. Yet we know that obviously Forest went through tonight, so they've got a couple of extra games at least. But at the same time, it's all about how Tudor gets the mentality of these players, and he says to them, we need to be winners, not losers. And I think for too long, this club's accepted the fact of Thomas Frank comparing us to our bitter rivals. He's always constantly talking about the teams we're facing. Now, we have a manager who talks about our team, demands our respect. So yeah, it's good to see, and I pray he does keep us up, because his record for, I know you said his average tenure, but his record when it comes to keeping clubs up is fantastic. It's when he gets past and he demands more throughout the summers, the summer window or the January window. He has fallings out with clubs. Obviously, he had it whilst he was out in Italy. He's had it whilst he was out in France. He falls out with people, but I think that's his personality. He's a very, very demanding manager, and obviously that's why I think the respect side of things, and he demands it in interviews. If you don't give him respect in interviews, he will act like you haven't given him respect. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing some of the criticism. I think you're both right in terms of some of the media and the way that they've approached him. Some of the questions, Frank didn't get anywhere near this amount. It was almost like when Frank was being interviewed or questioned, it was almost like, we know you're really struggling because it's Spurs. Whereas with Tudor, it's almost like you're wrong, you're terrible. Spurs, actually, you should be doing better than, etc. But Chris, what do you think on Tudor coming out and being so? It's almost like protective of the club in a sense as well. And I think that was something that was lost on me from Frank. It was almost like he accepted, yeah, we are pretty bad, and we just have to deal with that. Do you like that sort of attitude? Do you think that it works in the short term, as Jay said? Maybe it's not going to happen in the long term, but we don't care about that, right? We don't care what his record's like after 25 games, because we know he's only got 12 to come in and make that impact.
Yeah, you want a manager that is not going to, for me personally anyway, you want a manager that's not going to sit there and give the same responses all the time. You want him to be truthful. And sometimes it's not that you're throwing the players under the bus, but the players will know. If you had a bad game, Porro got subbed off yesterday, and you could see because he wanted to probably stay on the pitch, and he felt like he could probably do more and he could bring more. So when you're in a press conference, if someone's had a bad game, I don't think it's bad to sort of not dig them out, but say to a certain extent, we wasn't good enough today, and that's fine. So I think Ange, when he was in, he sort of done that. He took a lot of the pressure off the players, and he said it's me. I'm the manager. I'm responsible for this. It's not them. It's me. Whereas with Frank, you sort of, when he had his interview afterwards, it was like, even if we got absolutely bad, it's always say, I see a lot of positives out of this. And everyone's sitting there going, where are these positives? So it was the same answers for every press conference. And he is only here for a short time, but he's been brought in on a short-term basis because of his record as a short-term basis manager. His record is, I'm going to come in, I'm going to shake things up, I'm going to get the boys doing what they need to be doing, probably take them back to basics, and let's get the basics right first, and then we step on from there. So the players have definitely probably had a bit of a shake up and a bit of a shock to the system when this new manager's come in and obviously put his personality in there and said, this is how I'm doing it, and that's the way it's going to go. I didn't approve of, we spoke about it last week when it happened with Kinski, when he just let him walk down the tunnel and he didn't go over to him. I think for me, you've made that decision to put that player on, 22 years old. He's had a bad 16 minutes. You drag him off after 16 minutes. Like to give the boy a bit of a confidence or some sort of acknowledgement would have hurt him. But it might end up making Kinski a stronger player for it. He might end up turning around and again, he'll know that he was disappointed in himself. And sometimes that player's individual reflection means more to themselves. And again, it depends on your personality in the club. I think we have got a lot of egos in this club, but at the same time, if you can walk off a pitch knowing that you've not given everything, the first person you should be looking at is yourself and it shouldn't be for a manager to turn around and say, look, you were terrible yesterday. As an individual, you should be able to look at yourself and go, I need to be better than that. And then the next day when you walk into that training ground, you go and do better.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as we've already mentioned, it's all about getting this momentum, keeping it up, and going into Sunday's game. So we are going to go over now, and I'm going to bring something up on screen. Show up, sing up, stay up, as was put together. Stu, I believe you're the kind of this is your baby idea. You kind of put it all together, and obviously you've had great support from several people, including Jay. So I'll hand over to you now and just kind of let the guys know. We'll be releasing this as a video. It will come out as some shorts as well just before Sunday to kind of get as many people knowing about the idea as possible. You've already got some brilliant people retweeting it, reposting it, and everything else, including loads of the players. But over to you to kind of give your views on what's coming up and let the guys know.
Yeah, well, first of all, obviously, obviously it was an initial idea was from me, and then obviously we put a little team together. Obviously, asked him what 3 people there to help me out to get this running. Obviously, I had to get Jay on board. Jay's got so many contacts, inside the club and stuff. So we obviously, we basically picked up a good little group here, a good team. I like some Billy T. I think there's Kern. We've got young Harrison, who's an absolute fantastic editor, by the way. He's done some unbelievable work. He has. There's TNY. There's Dave. There's a couple other lads in there. We've got Bob, the drummer. He's joined late. He's had a bit of input in it all. But we just basically wanted to try and lift the club. I think I walked out of the Crystal Palace game last week and I was very dejected, and it's actually the first time I walked out of that ground thinking, we could actually go down. I never ever believed we'd go down until that Crystal Palace game, and then it was just almost a case of, look, we've got to try something, we've got to do something. And thankfully these absolute legends that are working with me side by side, they agreed that they loved the idea, so we just ran with it. And we're at the point now where this looks like it's going to be a lot bigger than what any of us ever imagined, and it's growing day by day. The exposure it's getting is absolutely incredible. Like you said, you've got these massive accounts all over every single different platform. They're releasing it. The players are now getting involved. The club are involved. And it has just been absolute phenomenal. The support from everyone has been incredible. And we're at that last little bit now. That first word of that motto just sums up exactly where we are now. Show up. Everyone show up at that meet. Every single person that is in that area around that time. We're aiming for about 12 o'clock to start. The barriers are going to be set up about 12 o'clock. The coach is going to be coming 1:45, 1 o'clock. So we're aiming to be set up 12 o'clock, ready to go, start building a really big atmosphere on that high road near the Sunny Memorial. It's going to be, there's a map coming out tomorrow, by the way. And yeah, we're just literally going to be in the streets for a good half hour, 45 minutes before the coach comes, building the atmosphere. Hopefully we can get as many people there as possible. We are expecting a big number. And yeah, like I say, just get behind the team. It's not a time to be sitting worrying about the protests and worrying about the owners. This is a time at the moment just to put that all on the back burner until we're mathematically safe or mathematically down. We have to get behind the team and just make it an absolute cauldron. Let's make no mistake. This is probably the biggest game really in our history for quite some time. And that is a quite sad thing to say as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, that Nottingham Forest at home is one of the biggest game of our season. That's the time we're in. That's the era we're in now. And like I said, these boys have done some absolutely fantastic work, and this event hopefully will be the first of many, as long as it goes well, it's successful, people attend. So I don't know if Jay, you want to add anything more to that?
Yeah, sorry, I was having a mouthful of drink. It's such a pivotal moment. I think certainly for our fan base, we've not seen anything created like this for our home game. Obviously, Bodo, it was quite well club led. Obviously, Return on the Shelf always does an amazing job trying to drum it up. We're working with them guys. We're working with Matty, so THFC Flags, JB, Kern. Obviously, Stu's touched on it. There's been so many of us that have been so unified in getting this to happen. And throughout this week, the phone calls with the club, the police, Haringey Council to get things in place. It's been amazing. So it's obviously everybody rocking up at sort of 12 o'clock, aim to get there then, have a sing-song, get your voices going, get the energy there, because these players are going to see this. And if we had thousands there, can you imagine how that's going to feel for them? They know that they're not in a great place. And the players were made aware of this on Monday, that this was happening, and the decision was made that they will be coming on the coach, that they will be seeing this. And it could be such a pivotal moment in our season that we can see it turn. So the importance of turning up on that high street, and then after getting yourself in, there's so much planned on the concourse. We're going to be, obviously, there's going to be singing in there. James Black, I believe, is in there. The club are running a kind of discount, which will be released on Saturday. Just see a comment from John Joe. Obviously, a lot of fans are asking what time the road closure is in place. So we've provisionally agreed 12:15. The club have said they can close it earlier for us if the numbers turn up. So the important side of things is make sure we're there. And if we get there nice and early, we could shock the club and we could get these serious numbers. And this can be what we can build on for the rest of the season and try and make this ground a fortress like it was designed to be. Because let's be fair, we've not seen amazing atmospheres consistently. We see them fizzling out a bit during games. This has to be 90 minutes of every person in that stadium losing their voice. There has to be no hostility towards players. If we concede early, get behind them, lift them, then the saying is be that 12th man. And I think I've got to give a special shout out to the away boys at Liverpool last weekend. They were absolutely incredible. No matter what the media put out, they were great all game. And they clapped the players off the pitch last night. Even though we went out of the Champions League, the players were clapped off the pitch. The importance of us fans is not lost on these players. And I feel it's time to obviously sharp, sing up, and hopefully stay up.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the change in momentum has come at almost the perfect time, right? Because if you come into this after the back of two really negative results, it becomes that bit harder. Whereas now the players have almost done their bit. Quite a lot of the times, there's always that transactional conversation: should the fans get the players up? Should the players get the fans up? Well, actually, this has absolutely been a bit of both. The players have warranted getting this reception now because of the way that they've been able to put themselves around the last couple of games, and then now, as you said, over to the fans. Now, obviously, in the YouTube world, you speak to people, you have conversations with people. I understand just the severity of how much effort has gone into this. This isn't a case of a Jolly Boys outing where you just sent a message out and a few people are meeting up. As you've already mentioned, there is police, there is the club that have been involved, and I think you've already said on Sky, Stu, that the club have been very supportive in this whole situation. So very much a situation where we are all in this together, regardless of how you feel about X or you feel about Y, whether you think it's this to blame or that to blame, is it previous managers, whatever. That's not the point in this. The point of this is to show up as a Spurs fan and create an atmosphere that is going to push on those players. And that is, I think it's a great idea. There's already people in the chat saying that it's great work and everything else. So kudos to everyone that's involved in it, and hopefully you can turn up on the day and be a part of it, because I think it's a great thing to do, and hopefully it's the benchmark for the rest of the season where the team can deliver, and obviously the fans can carry on that good hope and as well. I have put the X accounts of both the guys in the description. It's in the chat as well, so please make sure you go over, sub to the channels, because as they'll obviously be posting stuff out on X, more information that's coming up. So make sure you do that. And then, yeah, so obviously Sunday, I think everyone, it's not lost on anyone just how big a game this is. I think you're right, Stu. I think it's one of the biggest in our Premier League history. I had someone comment recently telling me that Oldham away in '94 was bigger, and we finished 15th that year. So I'd absolutely take the result of finishing 15th this year. But we've obviously got Bergvall with Doggy made returns as well. They came back into off the bench, as we've already mentioned. After the Nottingham Forest show, I've got a few weeks, and we should have some more players come in. But Chris, it would have probably been a different conversation a couple of weeks ago. But Forest were at home with everything that the boys have put together for that, for greeting the players and everything, for the performances that we've seen. How do you kind of go into this now? Obviously, off the back of what we'd say is positive results. What are your sort of opinions and thoughts on this Forest game coming up? What are you sort of expecting?
Yeah, I think it's incredible what the boys have done. Sunday's atmosphere should be absolutely rocking at that stadium. Even for the players to be retweeting the stuff as well. For them to hear about it and them to retweet it, that must be, again, they must be getting a little bit excited inside, thinking, "Cool, when we turn up here, it is going to be absolutely jumping." Probably not far off the parade atmosphere. I hope it gets that big, because it will prove how much. And again, as a player, when you do come into the stadium on the bus and you see that atmosphere, it's just going to give you a massive lift. And then when you get on that pitch and that whistle blows, you're going to want to give 200% to try and get the fans the win that we all want, the win that they want. So yeah, I think it's all leading up to be a very, very, very good Sunday. And if we can get the 3 points, then I think everyone involved with the club and everyone that supports the club will just be a bit more confident, and there'll be that pressure will sort of ease, and we'll go. We might actually be all right here, and I think the players will then hopefully just snowball it into the rest of the games of the season, and we'll just end up being all right. And then next season we'll deal with that when that comes.
Feels a long way away next season. A long way away. Jay, what obviously, again, going back to a couple of weeks ago, this was always billed as the big game. There's some even saying that Tudor was basically brought in for the Leeds game, for the Forest game, could argue potentially for the Palace game as well. These are the games where you absolutely have to get results, right? How do you feel about everything that's being put in? How the players have responded in recent weeks, how they've responded to this, the togetherness that there seems to be? Where do you sort of sit on this game now? Are you in a much more positive frame of mind because of it? Or have you had so much going on, you ain't had time to think about it?
It's been one of them sort of, me and Stu have been on meetings. We've been on meetings today. We were on meetings Tuesday. It's been one of these where sort of the week's flown by and my job's quite straining, and it's sort of, I've actually breezed through the week. The excitement's starting to creep in. I've got one more day. But like we can say now, we were told on Tuesday morning that the players were made aware of this. The players were being shown what we were trying to do, and there was a question asked to the players, and this includes injured players who wouldn't even be playing, that the fans were doing this. Every player wanted to be on that coach to see these numbers turn up, to see us behind them. And from what we're being told from inside the club, there is a real excitement on the player side. So hopefully, obviously this could have happened 3-4 weeks ago, and these players might have been up for it then. So I'm just glad Stu had this idea, and we've all managed to come together. Yeah, it's just one of these things. And Saturday night, it's Christmas, isn't it? Christmas Eve. And I'll tell you what, for once, it's just, I'm looking forward to going to a Spurs game, because I know everybody's going to have a smile on their face. People are going to be talking. And Stu said last night there was people walking out of the stadium, even though we went out chatting, "Oh my God, looking forward to Sunday." So yeah, there's a massive buzz about the fan base. And politely, last time we had this was the parade. And just now coming into the back end of our season, where we think, geez, this potentially, well, it's not far off our worst season ever. All of a sudden, if we get a big spin on our next 4 games, and that, in my opinion, they're all winnable. Is Europe out the question? I'm joking. But yeah, no,
anything is possible with this club. It is absolutely mental. But I absolutely, I've been saying this for a period of time, and this was more aimed at the lack of recruitment that took place in January. But as these players, I know they're on ridiculous money. I get that, but they are going to be rolled out week in, week out. No doubt that some of these players have got knocks that they're playing through consistently because there's no one else. And they were sitting there in January going, we need some help. We need some cover. We need some help. And they didn't get it. And for them to be sat there, if you try and take yourself as a player now, you know that what you're delivering is not good enough. You know that the club shouldn't be in this situation. And then for the fans to decide to bring this initiative just to kind of increase morale must be uplifting for them. That they must be appreciating, going like, we know we're not giving you 100% in terms of even if the effort was there, you're not doing it in terms of performance. So if it was me, I would be going, this is sensational work by the fans. And obviously that's what seems to have happened. This is why they're all so keen to be involved in it, right?
Yeah, just quickly though, Luke, I just want to address a comment in the section there saying, no offence, the CFT now sort of died death. This isn't a CFT related event. This is nothing to do with protest. This is purely positive. And I get certain fans feel the need to protest. I still feel the need to I hate our ownership. And obviously, I've backed away from some of the CFT stuff recently, and my focus has been on this because at the end of the day, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. I love the club. I don't love the ownership, but at the end of the day, I'm born and bred Tottenham. I've grown up supporting Tottenham. Tottenham is a huge part of all of our lives. To sit there and sort of go through some of this year and realise we're in the Championship next year, and the good chance that the red side of North London, South London, however you want to say it, are going to go on and potentially win 3 trophies, and they're still in the 3 big ones. It's one of these. So obviously, I get fans are angry, certainly with what's happened with Change for Tottenham. But people need to understand, being involved in that kind of stuff, you can't win no matter what you do. But you've got to think with a logical head, and being behind the players, not the ownership, the players, is the right thing to do at this moment in time. Because if we protested and it goes downhill and they say, oh, yeah, well, you've protested, you've affected the players' mental capacity, mental position, or you've affected this, you've affected that, you don't win. And obviously, as I said, I believe that go back 2 weeks ago, every single game, there should have been protests against this ownership. And for whatever reason, things don't happen. And it is what it is. But surely now any Spurs fan that really cares about this club is sitting there thinking, staying in the Premier League is the most pivotal thing for this club, regardless of who's got the purse strings at the top.
Yeah, just a few things on this point, Alfie, and there are some people that have mentioned this sort of thing, and first of all, I firmly believe that Change for Tottenham, with the protest that came about, they're the ones that froze them season tickets. I think that they would have been increased if there wasn't, if this was last year, if those protests didn't take place. So to say like that it hasn't worked, I don't think is correct at all. I think it has worked. It might not have worked exactly to what the idea was, but hang on a minute, nobody's in control of what the other outcome is. They just know that currently what the outcome is not good enough and it needs to change, right? So that's part of it. The whole protesting right now, you're exactly right in terms of if there was a protest right now and we went down, then the protest will be blamed for that, or they will receive some part of the blame. Let's only go back to January when there was a protest just before the January transfer ended, and there were some fans saying that shouldn't have took place. And look what got delivered up in that January. I would argue it's the worst January we've ever had as a club. So it doesn't matter. There is no way, no one's going to win on this. There's always going to be sides. But the key to a protest, and I think this is what's often forgotten about, the key to a protest is that you don't cancel off or say anybody's wrong, because then you lose people. The whole point of a protest is to gain people and for them to understand. And whether they were 10 years ago, whether they're in a couple of weeks, when they get to that point, everyone's got the same idea. So you need to be, there's a lot more. It sounds very simple to just, well, you protest, you do this, but there is so many things that go into it that is not factored in and thought about. And right now, as you said, forget about whether you're right, whether you're wrong, who you want, whether you don't, if you like that player or you don't. This is not what that's about. This is about Spurs fans coming together and just supporting the team. That's it. Nothing else. As far that's how it looks to me. And I'm Stu, I'll come to you because obviously it was your idea. I'm sure that's what the idea is, right?
Yeah, like there's a time and a place for certain things, and the precise time we're in now is the time to be positive. It's the time to make sure that no matter what happens, this team stays in the Premier League. You know, let's make no mistake. If we go down, such a backward step for a good few years. You know, and how long does it take for us to rebuild to get to even where we are now, struggling in the Premier League? You know, it could be a long, long road. You know, we lose a lot of our players, we lose a lot of money. You know, we've got to do a complete and utter rebuild for the Championship. It's somewhere we don't want to go. And look, like I said, we've all got these opinions, and we all want to protest in the right way at the right time. That's more an important thing. It's the time. When the timing's right, like I said, the moment we are safe, or the moment we are down, then I think everyone's free to do what they want. That's the perfect time then to show your frustration towards the people that need the frustration put towards. But right now, like I said, it's almost like we've got a little mini league left now, 8 games left. Let's start a little 8-game mini league. Let's go. Let's be positive. See what happens.
Yeah, completely agree. And also, again, let's just be clear. If we get into a world where we manage to stay up this year, and obviously that is the hope and expectations of all of us, then when you protesting in the summer, your vindication and your justification to protest is, look what happened last year. Like, this isn't going to go away. We're not all of a sudden going to be finishing 7th and it's all rosy.
Yeah.
Like, your vindication is not going to go away now. Look at what happened last year, and that's justification as to why we're protesting. And you can use that point at any stage of whether that's now or in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months, whatever. The fact that this has happened is the justification to me. So I completely agree. We are going to do, guys, we'll quickly go around. Is there any sorts of players? We're going to wrap up shortly. We're just hitting the hour mark. I just want to know if there's any certain players, because I've seen there's so many players that have been spoken about recently about, well, that player, I've seen so many people say that player should play right from now until the end of the season. And I'm like, football don't work like that. What happens if they have a bad game in 2 or 3 games time and then just get worse and worse? It doesn't really work like that. Chris, if you're looking at that Forest game, right, you've got Spurs' weird graphic where you've got no idea who's playing where. You've got Tudor, who is, I only play 5 at the back, but now plays a 4-4-2, and it's come out of absolutely nowhere. We've got Archie Gray, who's played in every position, and even eventually have an Archie Gray position where it's kind of just smothering everywhere. What sort of idea do you think there's going to be going into that game? Is there any sort of players that you think they absolutely have to play? They're going to be pivotal in this, that sort of thing. Where do you kind of sit going into it? And then the last thing before we after that, we'll go around and we'll just do some quick score predictions.
I feel like the same team that started yesterday's game will probably start on Sunday. A lot of them players that started yesterday proved that they should be starting again. They're all playing for their spots, and I think if it sticks with a 4-4-2 or the 4-4-1-1, whatever it may be, I do feel like that we looked, and again it was we knew we had to start quick, and we come out the blocks ready to go, and that was a positive thing. So for me, I would just stick with the same team, because Bergvall, although he obviously got some minutes. I think again he still needs a bit of time to come back. Yeah, I think you're right. I think comment on the screen there's right. Gray, Sarr, Richie. Richie's definitely a starter for me. Archie Gray's just been phenomenal. It's just, as you say, he just gets on with it. He just plays wherever he needs to go. So for me, I would start with the same team that played yesterday.
Richie didn't play though. Richie was out. So who'd you bring in? Who'd you bring off for Richie?
Colin Mawani.
He's done it in the Champions League, hasn't he? But
yeah. For me, Colin Mawani's not proved himself over again. The last 4 or 5 games, I don't think he's been there. But even if you bring Richie on for the last 30 minutes, I think you're going to get a very, very good shift out of him for 30 minutes, and maybe that might be the plan.
Jay, is there any sorts of players that you think that absolutely have to play? I think it's absolutely mad that we're sitting here towards the end of the season in 2026 saying Richie has to play, but I agree with it. I absolutely agree with it. But what are your thoughts?
Relegation Richie, innit? He's probably the only player in that squad that understands what this is, and obviously we know he's got a deep connection to Everton, who have been in our situation. He's been part of that. But I think I'm seeing in the comments people saying drop tail. I think last night he was one of our most exciting players, and for me, I'd play Mawani out on the right. I'd play centrally, obviously Richie. I'd have Tell out on the left, and I'd play Xavi Simons in just behind him. And then you look at Archie Gray last night. I've been one of these people that's been a bit sceptical of him, and the last couple of games, you're seeing exactly why Leeds fans raved about him. This kid's young. He's very young, and he's got his confidence in his natural position. Up for me, it's sort of I'll drop out obviously Pape Sarr, and I'd bring in Richie, and go for it like that. I think we've got to be attacking. We can't afford to sit back against Forest. They should be a bit leggy. But yeah, I mean, Richie, relegation fight. Obviously, I've got an Everton friend who's been messaging while I'm here, and I tell you, I think he's going to be one of these players that he might not be the most technically gifted player, but we've seen it so many times with him. He can produce that bit of magic, and imagine he goes and scores, what would it be, his third bicycle kick of the season, 4th bicycle kick of the season. So yeah, for me, I think that he's the undroppables. I think the big question is going to be of obviously Spence or Udogie come this weekend. And for me, I don't think you could drop Spence. I think Udogie is going to be a great player to bring on towards the end, and we go from there. And also, does he go back three of Danso, Van der Ven, and Romero, or he seems to have a bit of a soft spot for Dragusin, who, yeah, I'm not his biggest fan. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And this is why I've asked the question, because there's so many. There are some people that are saying that Danso should be a starter. For me, Romero and Van der Ven are your best defenders. They if they're available, they play. So that means, is it a back three? Does Van der Ven go left back? It's crazy because we've probably got 13 players, but yeah, there's an argument that every one of them should start, all in different positions, and that's hey, this is Tottenham Hotspur, right? Stu, is there anyone in particular, or any sort of way, whether it's a 4-4-2, that you think we have to do against Forest? Because I think this is a key point from Bourbon. I mean, you've got Morgan, Gibbs, White, and Anderson. These are two very, very good players, and it would be Sarr and Gray to be able to keep up and manage those. But they've just done it in a Champions League tie in the knockout stages. Like, where do you kind of sit with it?
I don't know. I'm not really sure which way he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to pack an extra body in midfield, try and win that battle. Or will we go a bit more direct and play the two up top? Like, the only thing that I do say, obviously, Romero for me, I put in part of that group along with Richie. Xavi Simons for me, I think he has to start. I think Xavi Simons, for me, when Xavi Simons plays and he's on it, he's the only one that can really control a game of football for us. And you know, when you're under the cosh, sometimes you need someone who's got that ability to slow the game down. And I think he's the only one who can do that. You know, James Maddison and Kulusevski were absolutely unbelievable at doing that. You know, when you're under the cosh a little bit, you know, it was almost give them the ball. You know, they'll take the reins of it. They'll kill the game a little bit. And that's what Xavi Simons will do. But he is our real shining light in the attacking sense. His vision, his passing, his running power, you know, he seems to be going up and up now. His confidence seems to be, you know, soaring through the roof. You know, good finish yesterday. You know, he's also now looks like he's kind of getting used to the Premier League physicality of it, getting stuck in the tackles. You see him tracking back. You know, and Romero for me, like I'm one of Romero's biggest fans. Like I will take his rashness sometimes for the sake of what you get. You know, you've got somebody who's a born winner. You know, an absolute born winner, and with all the people like that are kind of basically kick him down. You know, like you're going to see when we lose Romero, when we lose him, you will then realise as a fan base how lucky we were to have him as a football player. Because as soon as he goes to a club that's kind of run properly and has the right structure, and the club look after him and build a team kind of around him type thing, you are going to see why he's one of the best centre halves in world football. And I'll be gutted when he goes. The day he leaves, I'll be absolutely devastated. Yeah, regarding the left back situation, I think Jed Spence starts all day long. I think it's too much of a risk at the moment for player Destiny Udogie at left back. You know, his literally injury record at the moment is absolutely horrendous. I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 games he's back on the injury bench. You know, it's unfortunately he's at that time for me where I think we have to cash in the summer. Like, and that's really hard to say because when he's fit and firing, I think he's one of the best left backs out there. I absolutely rate him that high. But I just think with his record, his injury record, it's always going to hold him back. But
it won't, though, because he'll leave Spurs and he won't miss a game for 3 years.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah.
It's
like
just
Ryan
how it works, right?
Yeah. But I would definitely put an extra body in there. When I watch Elliot Anderson for me is a top operator. He is an unbelievable. And for me, I think if we're going to try and play, then I think we need an extra body in there. If we're going to go a bit longer, then I think we can get away with not having that extra body in there. But I think we definitely need to have the 2 workhorses in there. I think obviously, yeah, Sarr definitely is going to be one, and obviously Archie Gray. You know, obviously we should have Paulini should be back at the weekend as well. Gallagher will be back at the weekend as well. So we will have some subs as well from the bench to try and see the game out if we need to. But yeah, I'm just expecting, like I said, a real carnival atmosphere. And I'll just hope that the players buy into it and big 3 points coming.
Yeah, 100%. Richie 67. Can you have Richie back next season? You can. We need the relegation Richie right now. We need him to shift into overdrive, and then we can evaluate options in the summer.
Do him a trade, 3 points. Last game of the season for Richie.
We will absolutely take it right now, Chris. So before we wrap up, let's see if we can get some score predictions. Some people don't like doing this. Listen, it's all a bit of fun. What are your score predictions coming up with everything that we're doing before the game, with the feel good factor that's in? As Stu's rightly mentioned, there are some players that look like they're going to be back on that bench. So hopefully have some options coming off the bench. What are your score predictions for Forest?
I'm going to go over 2-1 Tottenham win.
Is that a squeaky bum Tottenham 2-1 win, or is that like we're smashing them? They score a late goal, but it's right at the end. Like, how is this?
Yeah.
I think
we take the lead, and then we'll score a second, and then they'll get one back, and it'll be too late in the day to try and salvage anything. 2-1 Spurs.
2-1, right? Come on, Jay. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to go bold. I'm going to say 3-1, but I think we'll go behind. I think that's where the fans will kick in, and these players will buy into it. I'm hoping the fan stay behind regardless, but obviously, yeah. I mean, I'm confident, and it seems to be at the moment we go for goals. We don't just go 1-0 up and lock up shop like we tried to with Frank. I think this is a manager who wants to win games, and he won't sit there and run the risk of being 1-0 up and hoping to see it out. I think he wants more to see himself through. But yeah, 3-1 for me.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few people in the chat going at least 3 goals: 3-0, 3-1, 4-1. I'd absolutely take that. A nice 4-1. I'd love it if we're 4 up in 20 minutes, and then you can kind of just sit right. Okay, we can just take a little bit of a nervous tension out. Stu, coming in. What's the score prediction?
Yeah, I'm with Jay. I think a 3-1. I think it's going to be a comfortable 3-1 as well. I do. I just think the whole atmosphere-driven part of it is just going to elevate the whole team, and I just see it's putting in a really, really good performance. I'm feeling so much more confident and more positive now after seeing last night. And you've got to remember that's a very good Atletico Madrid side as well. It wasn't just a mediocre team that's struggling in the Premier League. Look, don't be wrong, Nottingham Forest have got some good players, but look, make no mistake, that they are struggling just as much as what we have. And at the moment, we look like the team kind of turn that corner a little bit quicker than what they have. So home advantage as well, crowd behind them. Yeah, I think it's going to be a real positive day, and just say everyone get behind the team. Like you said, I would take a 1-0 own goal off Richie's back, but I do think 3-1 win.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna stick with you, Chris. I was gonna do 2-1, but I've been convinced. I'm going 3-1. The boys have convinced me. They've absolutely convinced me. So I'm going 3-1. Just before we wrap up, is there anything else that potentially will come out in the next couple of days, guys? So I was just gonna say, Stu, start with you. If you just want to shout out anything where people should follow you on socials, etc. And what I will do, guys, in the description, I will put all of the links to whatever the channels they suggest. I'll put them down in below. So just click on them, and you'll be able to drop them a follow. So Stu.
I'm Stu Coys on TikTok. That's my main account, really. I use for social. I am on X, Stu Malseed, and obviously YouTube and Instagram is Stu Coys as well. There's quite a few things to come out over the next few days. Obviously, we've got something coming out tomorrow, Jay, haven't we? Like a new poster coming out tomorrow, I believe. And what's that got on it? It's got the
it will have the bus route. Yeah, the meet point and the bus route, and all the information needed.
Yeah, we've also got some very exciting news coming out on Saturday, which is all hush, 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 hush. And you'll know what it is when it comes out, because it's going to be absolutely everywhere. It's something extremely big, and this is something that me and Jay are like little kids. Because we can't tell anyone, we literally ring each other to tell each other. It's honestly, it's like little kids kind of stuff. It's like Cheshire Cat. So we've definitely, but we're excited for it. We know the fact that we're getting told, the players they're basically getting told, sat down, told everything that's going on. Apparently they've been laughing in training, buzzing in training. They're all excited for it. Like I said, Jay said earlier, all the injured players are getting on the coach as well. It's been a real kind of uplift for the whole team. there's a few more big surprises, which you can't let out the bag just yet, I'm afraid. But I don't know if Jay.
You can see it in your face. You're so eager to. You can see it in your face.
Do you not understand how hard it is to keep some of this in? I'm telling you, it is so difficult sometimes.
Well,
And
yeah,
Jay,
I mean,
I'm sure
following
most
on-
people following you over on X.
yeah. So obviously OJ Co on Twitter, Jay Cuffsy on TikTok. Obviously, Stu's going to be live streaming the game. Obviously, one thing I do want to press is people that can't get there. There's going to be so many people streaming everything from the atmosphere out on the high street into the concourse during obviously the build up. The club have kind of done something tonight. They've released part of what they were supposed to be releasing Saturday. They've gone about half an hour ago. They have posted the slogan that everybody's gone for. We've been trying to hold it back. Obviously, some people did see the leak that come out on Tuesday night. They're saying always together. There's been hints from the club, certainly all of us boys, because it's so hard to keep it quiet. But yeah, there's a good video Spurs have just released using our slogan always together, and there is some big stuff coming out Saturday, which I'm quite excited for. There's going to be stuff on Sunday. We want to make sure people are aware this isn't from the club. This is nothing to do sort of with the club. This is purely us fans that have been driving for this. As I said, me and Stu have been on countless meetings. We've been on meetings today with Met Police, the head of Met. We've been on with the club. We've been on with different people. We've had a director today on our call. It's surreal. Obviously, I'm seen as quite a negative person. I don't mean to be. I'm just a bit excitable. But yeah, I mean, keeping all this quiet, and I mean, this is being kept from some of our closest mates because at the end of the day, we don't want to risk one person slipping up. And obviously, as we said, we had the leak on Tuesday, and it was an accidental leak, but it was a promotional video for generations of Spurs fans, and it got out before we planned it to. But yeah, I mean, the build up for the next couple of days is going to be great. And obviously tomorrow, if you check out all of our socials, I put a post up today that it will be, I'll be getting out all the information in regards to bus route, timings, best places to stand. We have had an extension email from the club to say that they are extending the area we have because of the online support. So it's showing that the club are now concerned the numbers are going to be massive. I just hope, fans understand why necessarily, certainly myself, I'm known for protesting, why I've put it on the back burner. Obviously, I've not necessarily pulled away from CFT, but I'm not involved as much, and it can't be seen as a negative. Fans cannot be negative on a day where the club might not deserve it, but at the end of the day, we as fans deserve to have the day to say, do you know what, we're playing our part. And at the end of the day, it's all eyes on Sunday, and hopefully 2 good nights of sleep before Saturday comes around.
By your
quickly,
faces, it
sorry.
doesn't look like much. Doesn't look like you're gonna get much sleep. The pair of you.
Yeah.
You look like me when I was about 12 and I was going Alton Towers the night before. I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. Go on, Stu. What was you
Can I
saying?
just quickly also add quickly as well? Obviously, if you are obviously wanting to attend the event, we need to make sure that we're all in our best behaviour as well, because obviously, this is in the eyes of the club. We've got everyone there. They've been absolutely amazing working side by side with us, helping us get this whole thing sorted. It is a complete fan thing, but the club have basically helped us in any way we've needed help, and they haven't said no to anything, which has been incredible. But the idea of it is us fans need to make sure we do it in the right way. We don't want no silly behaviour, idiots spoiling it. It's going to be a positive event because, look, let's be real. We've spoken to them today. We was in a meeting today with all the big boys today at the Tottenham, and we told them today, me and James, this is something we're looking at doing for the rest of the season if this goes off without a hitch. So, and I don't think they look too happy about it, to be fair, but but it's something we would like to do. If it works and it's successful and the fans enjoy it and they like it, there's no reason why we can't do it again. So just best behaviour if you are coming, and just make sure you're there. And if you are coming as well, also check the trains. There's no trains on the Weaver line. Weaver line is closed that day. So Seven Sisters, Northumberland Park, Tottenham Hale, they're your best options if you are training in. So just obviously look now, plan your journey, give yourself that extra time as well, because there might be more cars on the road. The trains are down. So just a bit of research, guys, and we'll see you there Sunday.
Yeah, and just to add, obviously, first of all, thank you from me and I'm sure plenty of other Spurs fans for arranging this. I think it's brilliant. As I said just before we come on air, I've just got my ticket secured, so I will be there as well. But also this isn't for people that have mentioned about Change for Tottenham. It isn't a Change for Tottenham event, so don't feel like you're attending a protest if a protest isn't what you want to do. This is nothing to do with it. They're completely separate things. All you're doing is going there and supporting the football team. So that's massive. But also, as you've just said, Stu, I have criticised the club on so many occasions from any sort of correspondence that comes out from the club, even if it's well intentioned, it's worded incorrectly. I remember one came out where it looked like it was a dig at fans and things like that. At least with this, if they've supported, we can show that they've done so. Don't give them an excuse to reject the next one because some people have turned up and been silly. Like this is all about being together and hopefully pushing us over the line. So a massive thank you to both of you and obviously everyone else that's been involved. And hopefully I'll see some of you there on Sunday. Hopefully we are still smiling next week, Chris, after yet another good week. We'll have a little bit of a break. It'll all settle down a little bit. We'll get some players back and hopefully it'll be a good end to the season. That's not something I thought I would be saying a couple of months ago. Stu, Jay, Chris, thank you all very much for coming on. Much appreciated. Gary Ball, you are an absolute hero, my man. Thank you very much for being a member on YouTube. As always, mate, thank you very much for the support. And guys, hopefully I can see some of you down there. I will be there. And as I say, the guys will be there as well. He's not coming because he can't make any effort to come from Scotland, which I think is a bit poor, really. He should make.
Who are you pointing at? You're pointing the wrong way. I don't know. You're pointing.
Not on me. I'm not. That's you. Where I am.
And wear white. Yeah. Wear white if you can. Wear white. That's the other thing we didn't mention.
Wear white.
It's on the poster.
Yeah. So as I say, all of the links will be below. So make sure you go and check out in the description. All of the guys' links will be there for any further updates, which obviously they are coming. And to be honest, I'm already excited about it. They're smiling. I'm happy. I can't wait for it to come out. So guys, thank you very much. Guys, thanks for coming on. Thanks for the chat. It's been a great one. And come on, you Spurs.